Good afternoon. My name is Joe Bandel. I am the last Rosicrucian. This week's video, I didn't know what to call it, but I knew what I wanted to talk about. So the title, Modern Day Witch Burning. That's the title, and it might seem a little, I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but it's not strictly about witch burning, but it is about the danger that anybody in the uh, magical community, if you will, uh, is may likely experience within the coming year and moving forward. Now, I my personal path is uh, I call it oak. It's kind of if I spent my entire life studying spiritual traditions, and what I came up with is kind of like a generic. It doesn't have a lot of fancy things, but it does very well for me, and you might consider it kind of a shamanic, pagan type path, uh, even though it does have a lot of elements of it. In other words, any how do I say this? I think it could apply to just about anybody. Let's say you follow a specific tradition one way or another, and oak, the things that I follow would not contradict or interfere with your own traditions. So it's kind of just about as simplistic, simple as a person can get. Yet with experience, with an experiential viewpoint, and what one of the things that I'm having a little trouble talking about this, I guess, but um, I'm thinking that we're at a very special time in which the veil between the worlds is getting thinner and thinner and could very likely be eliminated. So what we're looking at is we're looking at telepathy, ESP, a lot of channeling. We're seeing that already. A lot of the channeling is from space brothers and sisters, but it could be from just about anywhere. And on the other hand, we're seeing an uptick in uh, the paranormal, ghosts, things like that. Okay, now what happens? We're looking at this is January 2025. It's like the 16th of January today. The Trump administration is going to be put into office in 4 days. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a big change. It's a global change. It's a ideological change. There's a lot of things happening, and there the period of change is very challenging, but it's also uh, it's where opportunity lies. And when you factor in Gaia's ascension, where everything is, the vibrations are raising, getting higher and higher and higher, what's happening is a lot of the lower levels are being activated, they're being triggered, and any repressed emotional anger, this type of issue is being released out into the open where it's got to be dealt with. In other words, a lot of people they are at risk of having their greatest fears realized, which is not a pleasant place to be. Now, you can take your witch, your Wiccan, you can take your New Age light worker, you can take any of these spiritual paths or whatever that recognize a spiritual reality that's, in other words, they're not specifically materialistic. They recognize the soul, they recognize some supernatural, paranormal abilities in whatever way it is. And these events, these happenings, are going to be becoming more and more numerous and more profound, and you're going to have a lot of people struggling. And what's going to be happening is, in general, the people who recognize a spiritual element or a metaphysical element or a supernatural or occult element to life are going to be running with it. They're going to be riding with it and doing a lot better than the people who have a strictly materialistic belief system. You kind of follow me here. So what's going to be happening typically as times get hard, some people are going to get very frightened, to get very angry, and they're going to lash out at certain groups of people because they don't understand what's going on. And what I'm sensing to happen is anybody, a Wiccan, a witch, a Rosicrucian, a Druid, anybody like that, they're going to have to be very careful because of fear-based people, persecutions. I recently watched what do you call it, a mini series that kind of dealt with that concept. A small town in which there was this witch and her daughter that were actually in the universe that they lived in were like registered, so it was recognized as a talent. But then the entire town kind of turned on them, and it was the idea for the point I'm trying to get, because we have to look out for the nutcases. Now, what I'm trying to do every week, I am trying to offer a video that talks about something nobody else is talking about. Try to beat them to the bush, basically. Try to stay on top of things And what I'm trying to say here, I'm trying to bring up the necessity for to be careful in this coming year of 2025 and going forward, because there's a lot of people out there who have a fear of, they equate the occult, they equate Wicca, witchcraft, they equate any of this stuff as satanic, of the devil, that kind of thing. And so we're talking about just about all of the videos that I've done before have been talking about building up our spiritual practice, if you will. And this is shifting to a point, a different point, which is our environment's going to start to get dangerous. And we have to kind of look at how are we going to protect ourselves? How are we going to remain safe in the coming changes when so many people are going crazy? So this is the one of the main points that I'm getting at here. The other main point is the point of duality. And it's there's all you look at a lot of these people. Well, there's 3 points I'm going to get at, but this is duality, and then we're going to go to the third one if I have enough time for that. But duality is, it's a reality. Now, I already mentioned these people who are thinking a lot of occult or metaphysical reality is of the devil or something like that. I'm getting away from that. I'm going to the concept of duality, because duality in a universe of vibration, you have duality because it vibrates back and forth, back and forth. That's dual. Okay, the muscle in your arm, it'll go one way, and you have muscles that bring it the other way. They're opposing each other. You have black and white because you have something that's in the foreground, you have something that's in the background. It doesn't matter, all of these people that are talking about unity consciousness, this kind of stuff, there is always going to be duality because of the nature of reality itself. In fact, the whole concept of duality is furthered by the concept of the Trinity, which is the male, the female, the child. The child partakes of both and is the true unity. So a Trinity is a true unity if you're going to talk about some of the things like that. But ultimately, you're getting down to that duality type thing. And it doesn't matter. I'm gonna say it doesn't matter if you're a Wiccan, if you're a pagan, if you're a Christian, if you're whatever, a Druid, a Buddhist. It simply does not matter. Duality exists, and you can look at it one way or the other way. One way is to look at duality as in opposition, one force or energy trying to destroy the other, such as good and evil. And it doesn't matter what spirituality you have, if you even have a spirituality, you may have a perspective of duality that has one against the other, one trying to win over the other one, trying to dominate, trying to destroy the other. And that is the dangerous side, because it's like all or nothing. Your side, or you're either for me or you're against me. And these are the nuts. And they're the nuts in every tradition, every path that's out there. It doesn't matter. Because you can take, for example, a Wiccan, a witch, and they can believe good and evil. This has to fight that. They can believe that, especially when you're getting into the concept of black magic or the darker side of things. The other way to look at duality is the yin-yang symbol, which is considering duality as male and female, and they embrace each other, and they create stability, a rotation, a stability. And you can belong to anything, an atheist, a Christian, a Buddhist, any one of these traditions or beliefs, and you can think of duality in those terms as a loving embrace. So what I'm getting at, what I'm trying to get at, and this, I'm trying to put a concept across. And the concept is, okay, there's a flaw, there's a unity. Well, unity is never really going to be there, because there's always this duality in the vibratory nature of existence itself. And within that vibratory nature, awareness finds a third position. But the idea is, are you going to be fighting a war against your complementary or opposite? Or are you going to have a loving embrace? That's what we're looking at. And traditionally, when you look at witch burning, it's certainly not a loving embrace. They're trying to eradicate, trying to eliminate the witch, the magic, the occult from the face of the earth. And during the burning times, they did a fairly good job of eliminating that genetic marker from a lot of society. Couldn't eliminate it completely, but it's starting to come back. But what I'm getting at is, okay, you got two viewpoints. You have a viewpoint of love, a viewpoint of duality as love. And it can be from the highest level down to the lowest level of sexuality, sensuality, that kind of thing. Or you can have the concept of duality as fighting against a dangerous opponent, and that can be at the lowest level, or it can be at the spiritual, the highest level as well. And the distinction between, the main distinction that I'm going to talk about, that between those two, is the gray area. Because what we have to be looking for is the gray area. Simple human compassion. It's the ability to look at somebody else from just as a human being with a soul. And I've followed this mystical path, trying to reach up with the light, trying to get to the extreme at the highest levels. And I've spent another bunch of time trying to ground myself back down to earth because I was too far out into space, and realizing, hey, it's the earth where you really got this, where the power is. And finally coming to realize that each one of those is very necessary. We need those connections. We need that connection to the spiritual light. We need that connection to the earth. But the third point is the point of balance. It's at the heart. The heart is where everything meets. The heart is where the strongest magic exists. Back in 1991, when I crossed the Great Abyss, and I started coming back down and activating these various astral bodies, the the most explosive, the most I was constantly on a daily basis. I was being forced into astral battles with other people, other entities, or whatever. It was at the level of the heart. A lot of people think, oh, the real battles are going to be down there. They're going to be down at the lower level. Not necessarily. Magically speaking, the highest, the most dangerous, uh, the most violent conflicts that you're going to have are going to be at the heart level. But it's the heart level where everything merges. It's the heart level where you find a balance. And it is at the heart level where we need to exist. I've gone through years where I've been trying in my meditations to reach this high point. I've gone through years doing meditation where I'm trying to reach that low point of the earth. And what I'm finding now is that that beautiful spot is at the heart. And it's where the sky meets the earth. It's where the male and female is in balance. It's where they can meet. And it is where the duality, it's where reality hits. It's where how would you say this, is our experience of life. That's where our experience of life is. Because for something to manifest physically, manifest in this world, it needs to be balanced. It cannot manifest if it is not balanced properly. And so that balance, that's the position. The heart is the position of balance. And but that duality, this is a balance. Evil, good, evil, one's going to beat the other. Beat, beat, beat. Destroy, I got to destroy. That's the enemy. But the yin yang symbol, we can do the heart thing too. The yin yang symbol is that loving embrace. They're both working with the duality. They're both dealing with duality. And it doesn't matter what tradition you have, where you come from, you're going to find some people in this camp, you're going to find some people in that camp. And you're going to find the people that are in the camp of fear, the camp of that good has to overcome the evil, and they will fight to the last, fight just like the Ukraine battle, where people are fighting to the last breath because they can't compromise, they can't find a solution that is fair. When you take that situation and you put it in a world that's turned upside down, like our world is going to be turned upside down this year, you're going to see the people who have love in their hearts are going to be doing better than the people who have fear in their hearts. And the people who have fear in their hearts are going to get dangerous. They're going to be dangerous. You got to keep an eye out for them, because they are going to end up in a holy war, and they're going to end up trying to take the enemy down with them. Just saying. So you can take all these YouTube videos, these things, or what's happening, what's going on. What I'm saying is the veil is getting dangerously thin. We have to get more people on the heart side where they can chill out and kind of have compassion for each other, kind of recognize the other people, the other side as human. Because we are right at the peak of a battle that will determine the future of the human race. And is it going to be one where the human race gets wiped out in anger and hatred, hostility? Or is it one where we are going to learn how to live together and learn how to accept differences? So if I'm going to say it again, as time gets bad, you get racial hatred spikes, any kind of division, cultural. Just look at the division with the Democrat and the Republicans happening in the United States now. How dangerous that's getting. So it's one against, it's the enemy, they're the enemy. That can get turned against a person very rapidly. There's a lot of, we'll say, Christians, good-hearted Christians, that really they have a fear of demons, they have a fear of Wicca, they have a fear of witchcraft, they have a fear of the Satan type thing. And so here they are, nice, good-hearted people, but they have this area that they can get triggered at, and they can make us, they can turn against us, they can make us the enemy, because their world's fallen apart. When we reach a point where okay, there's extraterrestrials. They're contacting with our mind and stuff like that. Or we're conversing with loved ones that have passed on. Uh, weird things happening, telepathy happening, and people struggling to try to understand what this all means within the small framework of where they're at. This is dangerous. Got to be aware of it. You got to start protecting yourself against it. So I'm going to just sum up what I've tried to say in this video. What I've been trying to say in this video is my previous videos have all been about spiritual development, okay, and how it's kind of gone from the crown level, it's gone down, it's gone to the heart level, then it's gone down to grounding at the earth, anchoring that light at the earth or whatever, and then it's gone back to the heart. You got a lot of teachings out there. This is the third wave, the third ascension wave. It's really getting spread out. This message of anchoring the light at the earth and then working out of the heart, that's really getting out there, and it's waking a lot of people up, but it's also stirring up the fear in these other people. I'm going to just give an example how I understand that there is a very different, that Satanism and Luciferianism is very, very different. They have nothing at all in common with each other. But the average person on the street or the average Christian or whatever, they're at a freak out space when you even begin to talk about any of those things. And when people are at a freak out place, you're talking about um, acting out. The craziness is acting out. That's starting to happen this year. And we got to keep our heads down. I shouldn't say, well, maybe not keep your heads down. Maybe that's not the right thing. We've got to watch our backs and watch each other's backs too. Just saying, that's my thought for this week. And it's a thought that I really sense that this year, some of this stuff is really reaching out to the crazy acting out, hate acting out stuff, where violence can break out. We got to be careful and kind of keep an eye on what side of the duality challenge, if you will, that you are on. Okay, till next week. Thank you. Goodbye.